our residents in mind. In the name of our Father, amen.
We could all face the flag. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I want to start by thanking the administration and the mayor for sending the Fire Rescue Urban Search and Rescue Team and Task Force 1, as well as the 2 canine search teams to support the personnel with the Texas flood response efforts, because that goes a long way to showing that we as a county are always there for others, as sometimes they have to be there for us. But I think it's an important thing to point out. So we are going to begin by opening the reasonable opportunity for the public to be heard. And I think I only have one card, and I'll call up Rafael Gomez. Okay, we have a card signed by Rafael Gomez, but I don't see Rafael. Come on up. If you're here, come on up, give us your name and address for the record, and give us your opinion in a short, succinct, and concise manner. Okay, Mr. County Attorney, I guess if there's no other individual that would like to come up and speak, then at this time, the reasonable opportunity for the public to be heard will be closed. To the county attorneys, we'd like to go ahead now and set the agenda, correct? Are there any changes to the printed agenda?
Yes, sir. Good morning. There is the addition of item 3A, a resolution authorizing the county mayor designee to receive and expend unified homelessness grant funding from the state of Florida. And there's also 2 deferral requests related to items 1G1 and 2A. If it's the pleasure of the committee, those 2 items would be deferred to no date certain at the setting of the agenda.
Okay, if there's no objection to that, then we'd entertain a motion to set the agenda.
Move it. Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Let the record reflect it's unanimous. So we have one item that does need to be voted upon, and as item 1G1 and 2A have been deferred to no date certain, which I believe is item 3A, correct?
Yes.
All right. Does anyone have any questions on this item? If none,
Move it.
then the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And let the record reflect Commissioner Cohen-Higgins is here. So, all right. So we've taken care of the items. So now we're going to go straight to the presentations. And we will begin by calling up COSD, Community Action and Human Services to the podium. I believe Sonia Grice is here, if I'm not mistaken, and her team. I think all of you should have, if you don't, let us know, but you should have copies of what is going to be the presentation with you.
Good morning, Chairman Bermudez and esteemed commissioners. I'm Sonia Grice, the Director of Community Action and Human Services Department. I'm excited to talk about the work we are doing to make life better for the residents we serve. Our mission goes beyond providing services. We're here to ignite empowerment. Through comprehensive support and unwavering commitment, we bridge gaps, strengthen families, uplift communities, and transform lives. It's about ensuring individuals, families, and communities get the support they need faster, smarter, and with greater dignity. We don't have any wrong doors in COSD. In an era where efficiency is key and impact is everything, we are streamlining our approach, embracing innovation, eliminating redundancy, and creating a system that works better for the community. We are a nationally accredited agency through the Council on Accreditation that has been deeply rooted in the community for over 60 years, serving Miami-Dade County residents across all 13 districts. We are proud to operate the 3rd largest Head Start program in the nation, distinguished as a program of excellence for our unwavering commitment to high-quality early childhood education. Commissioners, each year, our summer meals program serves over 13,500 children at 340 sites across the county. ensuring access to nutritious meals through summer months. Our dedication to child nutrition has earned us top ratings from the Florida Department of Agriculture, further underscoring our role in supporting children's well-being. Through our Violence Prevention and Intervention Division, we provide victim-centered services to victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. Our 4 domestic violence shelters, approved and certified by the state of Florida for over 30 years, offer comprehensive wraparound services that prioritize safety, healing, and long-term stability. In addition to shelter, we operate both transitional housing and grant-funded rapid rehousing programs to victims and their children. For those who do not require residential services, support is available through our Coordinated Victims Assistance Center. At COSD, our no wrong door approach to services helps older adults age in dignity in their homes, enables economic development by providing child care, involves partnering with CareerSource to enhance service integration, remove barriers, and empower individuals to achieve lasting economic mobility. COSD's service delivery model is designed to put families first, addressing their needs from A to Z. We focus on ensuring that once we provide help, residents get back up on their feet and stay up. Commissioners, year over year, our impact continues to grow. Last year alone, over 2,200 meals were served at congregate meal sites or home-delivered meals to older adults at risk of malnutrition or starvation. Over 1,800 professionals were hired directly to implement Head Start and Early Head Start. This includes teachers, mental health professionals, nutritionists, social workers. Over 4,000 adults were able to attain and maintain employment because of the child care provided through Head Start. More than 8,750 kids were provided school readiness support. COSD has provided over 22,000 tenants and landlords with eviction, diversion, and housing-related services and referrals. Close to 300 evictions were prevented through our eviction diversion program. 17,000 households received utility assistance that kept their lights on during the school year and AC running during the summer months. Out of the 690 residents that found a job, thanks to COSD's Job Readiness Program, over 73% kept their employment status through the 90-day mark, a hard feat in this economy for many families. Commissioners, these are not just statistics. They reflect lives improved, families stabilized, and communities strengthened. The majority of our funding comes from federal and state grants, allowing us to invest in what matters most, lives. And it's our staff, over 90% of whom provide direct services. And I repeat, over 90% of our staff provides direct services. Across all 13 districts, they show up every day to support, guide, and uplift our residents with dignity and purpose. Additional services will be provided at COSD property, on COSD property, through leveraging new infrastructure and public-private partnerships. Real examples of our no wrong door approach in action. Our largest project is the Hostess Center, which will add 148 residential units, including 82 affordable housing units, to the county's housing stock and expand programming space and to residents in Wynwood. The Casa Familia project, funded through general obligation bond dollars, will include 50 supportive housing units and community amenities to our neurodivergent adults. Each of these projects are rooted in long-term planning and built to accommodate the growing needs of our most vulnerable residents. Our commitment to innovation to transform how we serve. We are proud of our programming to upskill older adult clients, to bridge the digital divide, and navigate today's increasingly online existence. We've made large strides in efficiencies through our new QR code referral process that now allows survivors and providers to begin client intake directly from our smartphone, streamlining care and improving privacy. This reduced intake time by 50%. from 2 hours to less than 1 and has been so successful that our recent figures are showing an additional decrease of 36% in wait time. This isn't just about technology. It's about meeting residents where they are with speed and consistency. These initiatives aren't isolated wins. They reflect a department that is learning, growing, and improving in real time. This coming year will be tough, commissioners. We're facing a significant reduction in grant funding from both our federal and state governments. Looking ahead and moving forward, we remain laser focused on sustaining essential federal programs like Head Start and the Victims of Crime Act, which directly support thousands of residents each year. Securing more competitive grants, building on the $10.6 million that COSD already received this year. Implementing technology that reduces inefficiencies and maximizes results. And continuing to provide services to our residents while being trustworthy stewards of our public funds. At the core of COSD's values lies a strong commitment to service, performance, accountability, and efficiency. We are ready to continue meeting this moment. Commissioners, we look to you for your support in helping build upon our legacy of 60+ years of service to Miami-Dade County residents. We do so much more than what was highlighted today. In this spirit, my ask is simple. Continue in investing in our residents. Our clients are also our neighbors. Thank you for your time today, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Grice. And now we got any questions, comments, or queries? I have a couple questions, though, that they're very basic. But you mentioned that 90% of those that are working with the department provide direct services. How many? What's the actual number of individuals that work under your department?
We have budgeted 665.
65.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
And looking at the list of current innovations and future outlook, you mentioned implementing technology that reduces inefficiencies and maximizes results. Do you have anything more specific? Do you have any ideas, or is this just a concept that you believe will be able to make you make the department more efficient in providing services?
Yeah, so we're trying to, we have other ideas of implementing like for example, an intake process that everyone can use through we have a system now that we're using as Caseworthy. And the purpose of Caseworthy allows us to really implement the no wrong door process. So if you went to our Community Resource Center to apply for rental assistance, if you go to the domestic violence shelter, I should know that you went to that process without you having to update your intake. We already have the information in our system. So we're trying to alleviate the stress on the client when they come. That's one of the innovations we're trying to implement, as well as as well as implement additional technology for staff too, with the paperwork.
And then this other question is kind of long-term tracking, for example, on Head Start. Is there any long-term tracking? In other words, something that could show that long-term, not just short-term, that the program essentially has led to success for families directly? I don't know if you do that or not, and if you do, what is the process if there is one?
The Head Start team is very creative and very innovative with collecting data. I can share with you that some of the staff, Chairman Bermudez, actually started out as Head Start parents. But through, we encouraged them to attend school, so we removed all the barriers so that they could attend school, actually become Head Start employees. I have an employee now that now has her master's degree. She oversees our disability unit. And she also, her son, I think, is an engineer who was also a Head Start child. So they do track and follow up with the participants from the program.
I don't have any other questions. Anyone? Commissioner Cohn-Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Director Rice, for the presentation. This morning, I can't overstate the value of the work that you do in your department. I'm actually surprised to hear that your staff count is only 65. I would just kind of generally.
665.
Okay, that makes more
Okay.
sense. I'm like, how are you doing this with only 65 people? That makes more sense. I was like, what? That is the most efficient department in Miami-Dade County.
No,
Okay, that makes more
I
sense.
said, see you later.
Right. No, you're promoted now. But when I was first introduced to your department, when I joined the commission and I saw the scope of services that your department offered, I was truly blown away. And the human element of the work that you all do is extraordinary. And I think it's a department that is going to probably be more difficult to find these kind of innovative technical efficiencies because there's such a human element that is critical in the work that you all are doing every single day. So my questions are first to commend you on the work that you're doing and ask questions regarding the current financial situation that we find ourselves in so that I can understand as we approach September, what you may need and how we can be of assistance to you. And so in your presentation, it says that 67% of your budget is from federal and state grants, and we know that we've seen a lot of cuts from both the federal and the state level. So do you currently have a handle of what kind of budgetary cuts you are seeing in your department, since such the lion's share of it is coming from our partners at the federal and state level?
What we're monitoring, thank you for those questions, Commissioner. We've been notified from a couple of our funders that the grants will no longer be implemented in some instances. Other programs, such as the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, we have not heard back, and I didn't see it in the current administration's big, beautiful bill yet, the budget, but we're monitoring that. We're working closely with Jess, of course, and the other lobbyists, as well as my legislative team that's keeping an eye out on everything. And we work closely with our funders as well.
Yeah. So keep us posted on that,
We will.
again, because I know that there's just heavy cuts coming to social programs and programs of that sort from the federal and the state level. And then again, specific to your presentation, where we talk about eviction diversion, is our eviction diversion office housed within your department? Because I know we have an office dedicated to eviction diversion. Is that the same thing, or is it duplicative work?
It's not duplicative, and they are housed in my department.
Okay, so our eviction diversion program or office, is that the stats that you're citing in this presentation is from that office?
This is the office that the mayor created.
Okay.
Separate from the other, yes.
It's separate, or it's the same
It's
office?
separate.
So we have two eviction diversion?
I don't know the other one, but I know I have the eviction diversion program, and we partner with legal services.
Right.
So I don't know about the other.
Okay. To our chief, good morning, chief. It's the same program, right? I just want to be clear on that. It's not,
Yes,
not
it's
two
the
different.
the Office of Housing Advocacy. That's
Got it,
correct.
yes. And that's the eviction diversion is happening within that office?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
And we've had eviction diversion seminars in each district. So that should, if that's the same group.
Yeah. I think we're going to be presented, Chairman, and to my colleagues, with a lot of interesting challenges and questions. But again, the work that you do is so critically important, especially at a time where our budget is so tight and there's going to be likely less money to circulate to our community organizations that do kind of similar work. You all are going to get a greater volume of need, right? So we're going to have to figure out how to address that and how to balance that in the coming weeks. So thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to commend you on the work that you do. My only goal would be to get the word out more to our residents about the services that we offer within your department, because I know that the need is so great.
I just heard your comment about the greater need, and that's why we do our best to leverage our resources and work with other partner agencies such as Career Source and other programs too. So thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Through the chair, if I can make a clarification and also to address two of the concerns that both of you brought up. The first one is that our Office of Housing Advocacy oversees actual agencies that provide that eviction diversion services directly. And Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, thank you so much for asking the question on, are we truly looking at how we're being affected through the federal government, the state, all the funding, since Director Grice spoke about the majority of our budget coming from those sources. As you know, our mayor is actively involved, and I know that she had shared a memo with the entire group where we're really paying attention to how it affects us locally and also planning ahead. And I also wanted to address, Chair Bermudez, you were asking about using technology, and Director Grice and her staff have been key in using our county scorecard as well as a dashboard that truly looks at the families that are being served. So when you speak of Head Start, we can see the families that are being served, the services, childcare provided to those families, as well as the wraparound services that we provide. And that's what's really phenomenal about the work that Community Action Human Services does, that they understand the importance of leveraging those resources to really provide a no wrong door approach, a comprehensive approach to addressing the needs. So thank you so much for continuing to support this department.
Thank you again, Commissioner.
Thank you for the presentation, and I appreciate those comments, and I just want to point out again that, at least I'm going to speak on my behalf, when I speak about metrics and things of that sort, sometimes to go to Commissioner Cohen-Higgins' point, sometimes it can be used to show that we are being efficient. It's not a matter of just, I want you all to understand, it's not a matter of setting people up for failure. It's a matter of being able to track things to be able to show that we are doing an effective job, and this department, is an example of it. Maybe not enough people know about it because of that, and that's what I mean when we talk about that. But thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Okay, next we have ITD, and I think
Mr. Chairman, while ITD is coming up, if I could ask for one thing, Jimmy Morales, Chief Operating Officer. Item 3A, which was adopted by the committee, if we could, the administration would like that waived
I have
to
no
next week's
objection
county
to it.
commission meeting if possible.
I don't think anybody have an objection to that. We're going to waive it through the July 16th.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good morning, Commission and Chair Bermudez. I am Carla Denise Armbrister. I'm the interim or acting director of the Information Technology Department. It sits in my portfolio. The previous director has retired, and we wish her well. She's done a phenomenal job of bringing together a team of leaders and driving the spirit of using information and technology to improve our organization. While we search for a new leader, I have asked one of our assistant directors, George Olazabal, to do the presentation that was prepared and share with you some of the work that we're doing to try to align our resources across the organization. Several of the commissioners have been briefed on proposals that are coming through the mayor's budget next week, and so I think you do know that we'll be looking to create efficiencies in this department by merging it. And George will not necessarily speak to what we're doing in that regard, but he will speak to how we're using our technology to drive efficiencies across the enterprise. So I welcome our Assistant Director, Mr. Olazabal.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. As Chief stated, my name is George Olazabal, and I'm honored to be here today to present on behalf of Miami-Dade County's Information Technology Department. Thank you, Chair Bermudez and the GET Committee for the opportunity to share ITD operations to identify efficiency gains and secure savings across our technology portfolio. We all know that Miami-Dade faces some serious challenges this upcoming year, and we're looking to turn those into opportunities along with your assistance. Over the next few minutes, I will be providing an overview of how ITD is strategically aligning its operations to deliver measurable value, enhance service delivery, and ensure responsible stewardship of public resources. ITD is the backbone of the technology across Miami-Dade County. Think of it as a central nervous system that connects all the technology across the county. Via 5 core focus areas, we're looking to improve and transform these and the customer experience. Via reliability and security, we're ensuring consistent operations and data protection throughout the county. We're also providing transparency with clear visibility to performance and spending. We're implementing modernization across our core technology, infrastructure, and applications. We're also applying agility to adapt as rapidly as we can to our business needs of our customers. And through innovation, we're leveraging new technologies to enhance our customer experience across the county. ITD is structured around 4 operationally integrated areas. Our administration is the glue logic that pulls it all together. We build and manage over 1,200 application systems, which rely upon our infrastructure that unites multiple segments of the county. And these are all protected by enterprise security against external threats and ensure the public trust and operational resilience. Together with our customers, we're looking to help serve residents of Miami-Dade County. Our direct stakeholders span multiple areas. There are Miami-Dade County departments who receive technology services directly from ITD, the Board of County Commissioners, the Office of the Mayor. We have county agencies and departments. We have the constitutional offices, all 5 of them, the Sheriff's Office, the Tax Collector, the Public Adjuster, Elections, and the Clerk of the Courts and Controller. And we also provide data center services to the school board. To the municipalities of Cutler Bay and South Miami, we provide dedicated technology services. We also provide data sharing with other entities such as the e-subpoena system and the CGIS system. Finally, the area of external radio agencies is where we provide radio services. Okay, we have county departments all across the county which are leveraging over 25,000 radios. We have the municipalities and police departments, 34 of them. We have universities such as FIU, Miami-Dade College, St. Thomas, et cetera. And we have the constitutional offices. For the Sheriff's Office, for example, we provide over 7,500 radios. And for elections and AOC. We also have a few other state and several federal agencies. ITD's budget is funded with revenue derived from 2 primary sources. 97% of our budget comes from customer revenue and funding model. The majority of our funding is for dedicated personnel and services through MOUs with county departments, for constitutional offices, and partner agencies, all for department-specific priorities. The funding model ensures ITD leverages economies of scale to deliver county-wide services. Collectively, these 2 fund consistent operations and data protection across the county. Less than 1% of the budget comes from the direct general fund. These are driven primarily for critical components of the criminal justice system. And the other 1.8% of the budget comes from other resources derived from fiber revenue, recording fees, and traffic surcharges. Our entire makeup of ITD is approximately 962 FTEs. Through ITD, we're driving savings and efficiency as part of the WISE 305 initiative. We've begun contract negotiations, and we're striving via our renegotiations of the countywide master agreements to mitigate costs, ensure vendor compliance and scalability, and align the service level across the organization. As of right now, we've executed contract savings and/or cost avoidance of just over $4.5 million over the next 5 years. We're also enabling some of our customers like RER to streamline the permitting ecosystem by consolidating redundant systems to help them migrate off legacy systems and integrate business intelligence with AI and drive efficiency across the board. Moreover, this helps RER expedite the process targeted at small businesses, building industry, and establish partnerships with the municipalities. This is all in support of one of the county's high priority impact to enhance the permitting process overall. We're also implemented eBuilder with our departments to centralize capital construction, project planning, and delivery across departments. This avoids duplicative systems, it helps reduce costs, and supports real-time collaboration with the other county-wide systems and platforms that we have. Through the AI Council, we're shaping AI strategy and policy to include training for the workforce. We've released an AI-powered compliance system to help our vendors integrate with our systems internally. Just to give you an idea, every vendor that's going to integrate internally with the county, we have them fill out a table, what we call a security matrix, and that ensures that we're keeping tabs on what they're doing, the data that they're extracting, how they're doing it, et cetera, ensuring that we keep the county safe from any potential threats. Lastly, we've implemented a county-wide contact center with AI capabilities. We've rolled this out to multiple departments. More recently, we rolled out a AI system-enabled system in collaboration with WASD, and this features the county's first AI-powered interactive voice response system, which enables residents to call in and interact via just their natural language with the system. So it'll help expedite service delivery for the contact centers for WASD. Next, we also have a plan to incorporate an AI chatbot. So all of this will help streamline services delivered to our residents. As you heard earlier, we're applying dashboards, as Kazi has mentioned, and our partners at DTPW will most likely touch base on those again. But ITD has created what we call our trusted data platform, and this serves as a central repository for data that can be leveraged for all the departments to provide quick overview of business performance. The idea is that the departments can leverage this in monitoring their performance, identifying issues and opportunities, supporting their decision-making, enhancing transparency, and improving efficiency and accountability. Right now, we have over 1,000 dashboards that are used across the county. We currently provide data from 17 departmental systems, including Informs and Human Capital and our asset management system. We also have executive dashboards, such as those for the mayor's office, which offer a high-level view of county operations. These are organized by chief to align with the mayor's leadership structure. Each area, operations, public safety, community services, utilities, administration, et cetera, has an opportunity to look at their dashboards and display their key performance indicators from each of the departments under that chief's oversight. We also have data that's available for external transparency. Miami-Dade County's Open Data Hub provides access to the county's publicly available data. It allows our citizens and businesses, for that matter, to better understand our community and what we have internally. This site provides quick access to the county's authoritative data, the maps, and applications that for county residents and visitors and businesses alike. We deliver transparency. It's a central platform with access to over 5,000 data sets within the county, including transportation, education, environment, public safety, and many more. Users can search and visualize and embed and download the data directly into their own systems if they wish for their own enhancements. It also enables professionals and residents to develop their own data-driven applications and tools. It provides access at scale. Right now, we receive over 20,000 hits on this site per month with an average of 400,000 daily hits. So there's a strong community-based usage and demand here. What's that one thing that we've been said to mention? Invest in our technology transformation initiatives. We have an opportunity to modernize our systems, transforming how we serve residents and operate efficiently. These aren't just technology upgrades for the sake of upgrades. We're looking to do strategic investments that will enhance the service delivery, reduce long-term operational costs, strengthen our cybersecurity, and increase transparency. It's not just for keeping pace with technology for the sake of saying we did this. It's really about unlocking the new possibilities to help improve outcomes across the board and ensure we're always delivering the best for our community. We have items coming to you very shortly for security, networking systems, and AI that will help deliver improvements across the board. Your partnership is key to realizing this progress. We can make this transition seamlessly, ensuring continuous, secure, and reliable services which are scalable and remain focused on our residents. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that presentation. Do we have any questions? Commissioner Cohen-Higgins?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question regarding the AI Service Center. How is that going? And I mean, like, is the feedback from our residents positive? Is it going well? And if the feedback is positive, how is it affecting the staffing, right? Like, is it replacing jobs? So I know it's like a positive and negative. It's going great in that the response is fantastic, but is it replacing jobs, and if so, how many?
So on the contact center itself, we deployed this as part of the countywide, what we call the enterprise. So we've gone through a modernization from a legacy system that was, I think, from 2015 or 2012 to a much more modern cloud-based system, okay? And it's been rolled out to multiple departments. This particular implementation, which is for WASD, is the first AI-powered one, okay? So hats off to WASD for giving us the ability and working with us as partners in doing that. And what it allows the residents to do is initiate the call via an interactive voice response system rather than going directly to an agent. And if that could be solved right then and there, then it prevents the call to going to the agent. What that really is allowing to do is providing the ability to service customers, more customers, and faster. In fact, we have, WASI was kind enough to send us an email from several years ago from a customer, and then more recently. The customer from several years ago was pointing out the opportunity that they had spent, I think, about 7 minutes on hold. And in this particular instance, the customer pointed out the fact that we had cut our hold time in half and was extremely happy about it. So as far as the direct impact to the employees of WASD, I think I'm going to have to leave that to WASD Contact Center and WASD leadership to answer that question, because we're basically providing the technology base for them.
Sure. Yeah, and thank you for that. Did your department achieve a 10% reduction in cost and expenses the way that all departments were asked and challenged to do? And I should have asked this of COSD as well, but as we get closer to the printing of the budget, I know that the charge was made, a memo went out, all of the commissioners supported that, like, let's, cut back as much as possible. Was that accomplished in ITD? Chief?
Through the chair. As you know, the mayor is still working on her proposed budget, and it's going to print soon. So ITD is funded as George spoke to, in multiple ways. So they were not on the list of programs that are funded by general fund. Less than 1% is general fund. However, they have, and there will be reductions based on our streamlining of administration and the reduction of redundancy as a result of bringing two departments together. There are also changes that we've made in contracts and contracted services, which George spoke to try to bring our costs down. We've been able to retire some applications and systems that will help us as well. So I can't speak to if it was a total 10%, but they were not on the list of departments that were charged with that because they're not 100% general fund. The departments that were general fund may have reduced their IT expenses, which will then pass through in a reduction to IT.
Perfect, and thank you for that clarification. That answered my question and then some. Whether it's 10% or not, general fund or not, I know that the entire county was asked to look at where we can cut back, and the explanation that you just provided gave me exactly that information, that this particular department engaged in that activity as well, which I appreciate tremendously. Thank you so much for giving us the presentation. This helps me a lot. When we get into the budget and we're looking at everything and every dollar everywhere, these presentations are very helpful for me, at least, to help understand the breadth of the department, the work that's being done, and most importantly, right now, what's being done to run these departments more efficiently. So thank you again for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. Commissioner Orbis, any questions? I have a number of questions and comments, and it's not Festivus. If not, it'd be longer. just kidding. But a couple of things. Kind of going in line with what Commissioner Cohen-Higgins had mentioned, and I don't have it in front of me, but I was looking at some of the numbers at the growth in the department. It's been one of the departments that's had a substantial growth, I think, over the last 5-6 years, which to a certain extent may make some sense, but also when you look at how we can be more effective, it doesn't make sense. So is there any explanation as to why there's been such an incremental growth? And I think it might even have been at the end of the prior mayor's administration, continuing through this one. But certainly in the last 5 or 6 years, it's been one of the departments that's grown the most. What's the reasoning for that?
Through the chair, and I know George has been here only 2 years, but if you have a,
I can take a stab at it.
take a stab. I want to hear what your response is.
In the 3.5 years that I've been with the county, I've seen an incredible number of projects that are normally not viewed as technology projects, but I would say there's not a single project that gets created or done without some level of technology. All right. Take, for example, and I'm going to speak to the ones that I'm familiar with. I'm not, and that is obviously for the 3.5 years that I've been here, but DTPW and Seaport. DTPW, not to pick on my colleague here, who will be coming up pretty soon, but a lot of their brick and mortar projects, they include sub-projects, and I'm quoting one of their own engineers, all of their sub-projects include technology. You have camera systems that are incorporated as part of those brick and mortar projects. You have sensors, you have communications, you have fiber, you have the support that is needed across these, right? You'll have servers that are driving some of the systems. For example, there are camera systems, there are LiDAR systems. These are all server-driven systems that incorporates a server that we have to put in our data center. And the list goes on and builds upon itself. That's what I've seen over the last. You have Seaport, for example. They've modernizing their terminals, right? You have the shore power was a huge project. Even though it's an external entity that's coming in, we still have to provide the communications and some of the servers and some of the systems that are helped to support these. So every time that we add something new to the county, you're inadvertently adding technology given today's age. So that's what I would say I've seen over the last few years. For example, the South BRT, which I'm also very familiar with, and again, not to pick on Director Miller, but we added there over 200 networking switches, okay? We've added hundreds of cameras on there. We've added server. There's so many cameras that were added on that system, we had to incorporate and put DTPW on their own back-end system because of the amount of taxation it was putting on our main camera system. So that's just trying to explain the magnitude of technology that's being added as a result of everything that we're doing within the county.
And through the chair, I would also add there are two other factors, and that was fantastic, George. One is during COVID, if you remember, we had to send everybody home. And at that time, people may not have had phones and laptops and computers. So the investment that we had to make in order to function during that time period was pretty substantial. The second thing that happened was that the mayor has charged us with centralizing IT into one business unit in order to gain efficiency and to achieve economy of scale. During that time period, what we've done is went from having multiple licenses with multiple vendors into centralizing that into one organization so that we can get the economy of scales when we're purchasing hardware and negotiating pricing for software. And so some of those costs were actually out in departments. Those departments still pay an allocation into ITD, but the actual equipment and individuals and work is residing within the IT department. That wasn't the case prior to centralizing all of those core functions.
Okay, I mean, I'm just going to make a comment on that, and I appreciate your response. And you gave some specific examples, but when I look at, and I'll come back to what Carla just mentioned, the issue of signalization, for example, which has been a problem for our commission. I think we finally resolved it. Where I don't think the three of us were on the commission when they originally approved the project. Maybe I don't think Commissioner Cohen-Higgins was here at the time either, if I'm not mistaken. And we finally got that off the ground. So My concern is when we have some specific projects and you add additional staffing, and the purpose of technology is to really be able to be more efficient and effective, that those people, if the numbers continue to grow, then to me, it just leads to that question. And I can see what you're saying. If there's a specific project, there's a specific project. Well, is there a more efficient way to do it than necessarily adding more people? And then coming back to Carla's comment, which I also appreciate, which is, centralizing somewhat. My only concern with that, and it goes to what I always mention about working in silos, and we saw that with procurement. Sometimes you have 6, 7 departments that have to work together, and if they're so siloed, it makes it very difficult to be efficient and effective moving forward the timing of the procurement process. But the departments in many instances, and the 2 examples, George, that you used, would be something that the DTPW would probably be the one that knows what they need, right? Correct? And you would then try to carry it out. So the only thing that in centralizing, what I think would be important is to make sure that the efficiency isn't lost, so to speak, because it sounds like it shouldn't be lost. But if you're not having the communication, and the department is not clear on what they need, because DTPW may need something different than water and sewer, right? It's just the way it goes. So I would hope as we move forward on that, we look at that. I have another question I had. You showed I think a couple of municipalities and other entities that also use our services. I'm assuming that they pay us something for that, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
We have agreed upon MOUs with them.
Okay. I had a comment the other day from a resident, and it was reference to the website, and I don't, to be honest with you, I don't use it as often, obviously, but one of the concerns was they were looking for one of our meetings, and this person pointed out, and I don't think they're even, maybe they do live in one of the municipalities in the district, but they pointed out that, it was the access, part of transparency is access. And that it would take like 4 or 5 steps to get to a video of one of our meetings, whereas maybe and I think they might have mentioned one of the municipalities up north had a much more streamlined system. Have you looked at, because part of transparency, at least for me, is to make sure that the residents understand that it's easy to get information, whether it's an agenda, whether it's minutes, or whether it's a video. And that's a comment that I heard from a resident. I haven't tried it myself. I promised that person I was going to try to do it myself. I haven't done it yet. Probably should have done it before this meeting so I could speak clearer. But I just want to point that out because having been on the website before, if it hasn't changed, I do know that sometimes it's a little bit more complicated than maybe I would expect from a government of this size. And when is the last time we actually looked at how many steps it takes for somebody, for example, to get an agenda? Say a resident says, I want to see what happened at this meeting or at a main Board of County Commissioner meeting. Because the last time I remember I had to go through like 3 or 4 things, and I used it a long time ago, so I don't know if you've made some changes to it. But this comment that was made to me reminded me that, part of being more effective and efficient is not having to take 10 steps to find a video. When is the last time that we have gone through a look at our website?
The website is obviously the technology perspective of it is done through ITD, and that's done in collaboration with CCED, right? I don't know the answer to when was the last time that was looked at for that level of efficiency. Right. I do know that I myself went into the last presentation to get an idea of how these went. And obviously, maybe it's an unfair comparison given the fact that I am from ITD, so I just clicked quickly, but that would be an unfair comparison. But I've taken note, and we'll touch base.
You know where to go, that's why.
Well, yeah. So that's why I say it's an unfair comparison. But I will take the note back to our team and see if there's an opportunity for streamlining that. One of the things that I asked the Commission to take into consideration is the vast amount of information that we have. So it becomes a matter of what do you prioritize for that quick, 1-2 click on there before they start stepping on top of each other, and then, an individual doesn't know where to go. But, I'll take it back and we'll look at it.
Yeah, I'm looking from the perspective of the let's call it I don't want to use the word consumer because they're our constituents.
Right.
And essentially, they're the ones that use it. When we talk about transparency, is probably the most overused word in politics. And I think it's important that we go ahead and, for the constituent, make it easy to get the information. A constituent's not going to necessarily worry about Ms. Miller's memorandum as much as how do I get to see a video? How do I find out this information as to how I can apply for this program? That's what I'm getting at. And kind of going along with that, do you do any surveys out there? Is there any access to surveys as to people, how the constituent can comment on the effectiveness of the department?
I believe the surveys are driven through CCED. They have a tool set that they use for generating surveys. We can get you more information on that.
Okay.
And through the chair, your question it's actually spot on, and I'm trying to remember if we shared something with you when we met, but the efficiency that I mentioned is trying to bring communications and customer experience closer to IT in the upcoming fiscal year. Your comment about communication is central. We need better communication, improved collaboration with our respective departments that provide support, right, to our outward-facing departments, and that provides support to us as administration. And so I'm actually pleasantly pleased to share with you that that is absolutely being addressed as we look at how we organize these departments moving forward. CCED, which is a great partner to ITD, is responsible for the website and surveys. And I think with the new leadership that we bring in that can help merge and find better efficiencies, we'll be able to do some great work that will not only benefit our constituents and your residents, but that will also benefit us as we look for the cost savings that Commissioner Cohen-Higgins was looking for.
Thank you for that, Carla. And I think that, going back to my silo issue, we were talking about two different things. That's why siloing is one of my concerns. But I appreciate that. And certainly to the attorneys, I certainly would like to look and see if we can figure out a way to maybe codify some direction from the Board of County Commissioners to make that more effective. The angle of being more, and again, I'm gonna use the word transparency, but I really am talking about being able to get the information to the public as easily as possible. So I'd like them to look at that. The last comment I'll have is, and thank you for the presentation, and you had some great answers. This is a department that I've had a lot of questions about, and part of that, I think, I'm not going to speak for my colleagues, but it's been one of the great nightmares in our district office of just issues, and when we had the old office, and even now with the new office. But my last comment will be, and you made reference to the KPIs, which is incredibly important, especially if you're trying to be more efficient and effective. But I caution, when one uses key performance indicators that are easy to accomplish, that's not necessarily making you more effective or more efficient. If Ms. Miller is tracking how long it takes to fill a pothole, and it's 30 days, my response would be, wow, 30 days to fill a pothole? That's not a great KPI. So having the KPI is great, but you need to have something that shows that you're actually moving forward and progressing. But at the same time, if you have a specific project, you can figure out how to be more effective in the future. And there might have been things that caused the problem in that particular project. So I'll leave you with that, because as you look at that in the department, I hope that you take that into account, because this is a department that really the future, in large part, will have to go through technology. You rightly so pointed out that water and sewer can possibly be more efficient by using artificial intelligence, right? So But those things have to be measured, tracked, and we have to see that the end result is the same. I'm not going to ask you this question now. Maybe I'll ask you later on in person. But one of the concerns always continues to be obviously cybersecurity. I know you guys put a great emphasis on that. We've seen recently across the nation, whether it's the airport in Atlanta, city of Baltimore, other places, that cybersecurity is becoming a much more complicated issue for governments. And I just, I'll ask you that in person because it's not something that I'd even necessarily want to talk about, and we could be here talking forever. But thank you again for your presentation.
Mr. Chair, I had one more question.
Follow-up.
Carla Denise, something you said I wanted to follow up on. You said that during COVID we purchased a lot of laptops and cell phones, and I know that that's been 5 years now. So that's obviously very expensive, and technology becomes obsolete over time. But cell phones, require line carriers, connection, internet, all that stuff. What did we do with all that stuff now that we're back to work 100% in person? Did those laptops stay with the employees? Do those employees still have cell phones? Did we reevaluate if they needed take-home phones and take-home laptops?
Yeah. So, and George may have a more specific answer. We just implemented, through the chair, I'm so sorry, Commissioner, we just implemented the return to office for those employees that did not have, customer-facing jobs on March 17th. And so during that process, we began retiring equipment that may have been issued, so it could either be refurbished or repurposed. But the way those contracts work, I don't have all of the details. I don't know if George can quickly maybe answer the question on how do we manage the hardware and software replacements that need to be done with employees.
So most of any equipment that was taken home that was, let's say, a duplicate of what they had before because they had to work from home has been brought back into the office. That's first off, right? And I do know that if an equipment is, let's say, 5 years old, we're probably reaching the end of its life. So that would be just a natural progression of recapitalization and replacing that piece of equipment. As far as cell phones have been brought back. We do offer on-call services to our departments, and those individuals still do have cell phones. And the reason being is that they may need to use that cell phone either when they're at home, if they get a call after hours, or God forbid the network goes down, the cell phone is providing communications for them while they're looking at the issue. So,
Okay. I mean, my suggestion would be that we look at that because that is a huge cost savings where, if certain employees don't need a take-home cell phone because they no longer are serving in that capacity because they're back to work and they're taking phone calls 9 to 5 while they're sitting at their desk, then maybe that's something that we can look at. And if the computer is just sitting at their desk as a paperweight, then maybe we can reuse it for somebody else or surplus it or see what we can do with those equipments.
Yes, Commissioner, I would love to talk with you about that. I smile because I wonder which one, do we want the desk phone or the cell phone, but I don't know if we need both. So we are actually looking at that as an efficiency, moving forward, being able to survey the employees and the departments on what their needs are so that we could not only retire some of the software that's duplicative and not being used, but also retire hardware and any cost, associated with that. So thank you. Great suggestion. And Chair Bermudez, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with Stacy Miller, DTPW's presentation, because she does address how we use data to help improve our work and data that's provided to her by ITD. So if you don't mind, we could welcome her.
Absolutely. I'm going to come on up, Stacy, and I'm going to turn over the symbolic gavel for a second because I got to step out, but I'll be right back. And I want to turn it over to give Commissioner Milan Orbis the opportunity to be ready for the day that I'm going to miss a meeting, and she can chair the meeting for now. And when I come back, I'll let her continue to chair, and I'll ask some questions. But if I had a gavel, I'd give it to her, but it's my symbolic gavel, Commissioner Milan Orbis. So I'll let you introduce and go ahead with Director Miller in the presentation. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, Director Miller. We have our final presentation today, Transportation and Public Works. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good morning. Thank you. Stacy Miller with the Department of Transportation and Public Works. I appreciate the opportunity to present what it is that we do as as an entity and what our future needs are. So DTPW, the Department of Transportation and Public Works, is the largest department within Miami-Dade County. We do have 4,200 plus employees with a budget of over $2 billion. We are the 10th largest transportation system in the United States. That is both 10th largest in heavy rail and bus. Unfortunately, there isn't a combined value because most of our cohorts have a variety of different services. But it is important to know we are 10th largest in the country. Our 4,200 people are scattered across 5 functional areas. Obviously, administration covers all focus areas. We move then to planning, project delivery, operations, and maintenance. The majority of our staff do work in our operations department. They support bus operations, rail operations, and all of the aspects associated there. We are committed to the mayor's strategy of WISE 305, and as I go through this presentation, we will show our project and programs in collaboration with WISE 305. It ensures that we uphold our vision to be the world's best provider of transportation options and aligns really well with DTPW's Shift 305, which was a focus of my predecessor to determine our vision, our mission, our focus areas, and the pillars that we align ourselves with of safety, cleanliness, efficiency, and connectivity. So the W of WISE, workplace initiatives. Right now we're doing a number of internal reviews. Most importantly, we're reviewing our table of organization and making sure that we are being efficient and effective with our organization and function. We are developing workforce development opportunities and mentorship, and we are evaluating the culture of our office and determining our values as we move forward. The I, investing in technology, has been mentioned several times. We work hand in hand with George and his team over at ITD to collaboratively use technology to improve our efficiencies and effectiveness at DTPW. I'll just point out a few. We are in the planning area using Esri, which is a map-based tool that allows us to collect data and analyze that data by looking at individual assets and issues that might arise that are mappable, and then looking at the projects and finding the best way to approach those from an engineering perspective. We are also using eBuilder, which is a capital construction management tool, and an enterprise asset management tool in maintenance. Continuing on the WISE 305, S for savings, we use a data-driven approach for operational improvements. This is a plan, do, check, act scenario. Those results have actually provided actual results, pardon me, a 20% decrease in our cost per boardings, 16% decrease in our cost per revenue hour, and a 6% decrease in the cost of revenue mile. These are appreciable improvements and reductions in our costs by using this data-driven approach. Continuing with WISE on our efficiency review, and the chairman is back but not back, but these are the items that he was really focused on, I think. So in 2024, this is just a highlight of some of the areas of improvement that we worked on. I will point out, we did fill over 10,000 potholes. We cleaned over 440,000 linear feet of stormwater pipe, and we are very excited about bringing on our new team members after October 1st, when we bring on stormwater utility and incorporate them into the Department of Transportation and Public Works. Just to point out, on our potholes, we have 10 people in total at the Department of Transportation and Public Works that work on potholes. We have 6 people that work on sidewalks. These are not large crews. They are the only assets that we have associated with completing these tasks. A lot of the information that we receive about potholes and sidewalk repairs all come through our 311 system. We do have a means of tracking, and we have timelines by which we attempt to improve those service tickets. Unfortunately, again, with the limited resources that we have, both in staffing and funding, we are not always able to meet the goal of responding to and resolving those complaints timely. However, we still do a great deal of work. These numbers are not exactly the numbers from the other slide. That's because these are the ones that come directly through 311 as opposed to those that come from our team and our crew. So sidewalk repair, you'll see we had over 2,000 requests for sidewalk repair, but we're only able to accomplish about 300 in repairs. Again, that is because of the limited number of crews and the limited resources that we have. On the efficiency side, we have already talked about being more efficient and saving resources. We move about 85 million people a year across all our modes. It's a lot of people. We have had an increase, and we're very excited, 5.7% rider increase. Majority of that, over 11% in Metro Rail. We have recovered pre-COVID and continue to make strides in improving our ridership. From 2023 to 24, after better bus network, we have seen an average of 10% increase during the weekday of riders, and on the weekends, over 20%. One item that many people don't know that we accomplished through DTPW is transit-oriented developments. We have 15 that have been completed, many more underway, several more planned. We've had over 10,000 units constructed through these transportation-oriented developments with over 5,000 in affordable housing. This, we collaborate with Housing and Community Development. We're strong partners with them to make sure that we are providing these wonderful assets that, again, improve our ridership and improve density along those corridors. So with that, we have a number of challenges. We have almost $2 billion in outstanding needs on the public works side. What you see is the large numbers in bridge repair and replacement, as well as the resurfacing program. Unfortunately, we're not funded to adequately meet our needs in this area. We also have increased costs. Since COVID, the majority of our project costs have gone up 20 to 30%. So these numbers continue to grow as these resources are needed. On the transportation or transit side of the house, we continue also to have funding challenges. Again, our costs have increased dramatically. Starting in fiscal year 27 and beyond, we will have a $200 million plus deficit in just running our existing transit services. We've also seen legislative impacts. As we all know, there has been an impact to the People's Transportation Plan surtax collection. We believe is approximately $27 million loss in that area, as well as a reduction in state funding for the SMART program, which is through the New Starts program. And this was the reallocation of documentary stamps from the Florida Department of Transportation. This also creates an impact to the Transportational Regional Incentive Program, which covers 50-50 program, which covers other projects for us. With that, obviously our ask is great, and unfortunately it is for an increase in dedicated resources so that we can, in fact, maintain our systems, that is our roadway network, our bridge network, maintain our transit functions as they are today, as well as provide additional capital improvements into the future. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Miller. I will turn it over to my colleagues. Have any questions?
I've got a couple questions since I'm on this. And by the way, one of the things that shocked me the most, I don't know about you guys, was that we had so few people working on sidewalks, because at least in my district, I get a lot of requests for sidewalk repairs. And it was I was really surprised about that. But one of the things that I would ask, when you talked about the ridership increase, you said about 11% was Metro Rail, right? Do you have the breakdown on what the other numbers are, or?
I don't have them.
Okay, no, if you don't have it with you, that's fine. I'm just curious as to,
I may have them with me. Hold on just one second. So we had, as I said, 5.7% ridership across all modes. Nope, unfortunately, I don't have them. Nope, we will get them to you, though.
That's
I
fine.
apologize.
and then the other question that the other day popped up in talking to your department is, you are impacted, or you have to work with, let me not say impacted, but well, you are impacted. You have to work with sometimes with CITT, for example, and their budgeting. But it appears you're not all in the same budgeting cycle in the sense of the timing, right? Or am I mistaken? For example, my understanding is their budget is on a different cycle. And if I'm wrong, let me know. Because the reason why I bring that up is for the timeliness of projects and the funding of projects. If you're not on the same cycle, I would assume that might have an impact. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I understand to be the case. And I use CITT as an example, but there might be a couple of other
So
entities that you work with.
CITT is on the same cycle, as they are an entity that assists with the development of the budgetary process.
Okay,
I
so-
think the concern is the 5-year plan, the cycle of the approval of the 5-year plan.
Okay, that may be it. So let me rephrase that. Is there anything that we can do to get you back to all be on the same timeline? So, right, okay, we eliminate the budgeting cycle. You're talking about the timeline of approval of projects. Is there anything we can do to put you all on the same schedule? And wouldn't that be something that would be beneficial, at least for you guys, for your planning?
Yes. So thank you for that question. We are actually working with CITT to realign that cycle for approval. Right now, we would like it to be closer to the approval of the budget. Oftentimes, from what I understand, the CITT approvals of the 5-year plan doesn't happen until the spring, which is a misalignment. So we are working with them to realign that timeline, to provide them information sooner in the fiscal year, so that, in the prior fiscal year, so
Right.
that they're prepared and can, in theory, approve the plan in November, right after the budget is approved in October.
Right, because I guess then what would happen when you're not on the same schedule for the approval of the plan, that could lead to
A delay.
a delay of 6 months, a year and a bit. So I'm going to ask the attorneys to look into whatever we can do to codify that too, because I think that we need to, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it'll be good for you guys. Actually, I believe it'll help you.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't really realize that till the other day, and then it made perfect sense. You delay it another year, which is never good. So, okay, those are the other questions I have for now.
Thank you, Director, for the presentation. I'm not sure what the right word to use is. $2 billion budget, 10th largest transportation system in the country. We have $2 billion in unfunded needs. We have a team of 4,200 and only 6 dedicated to sidewalks and only 10 dedicated to potholes. That seems wildly disproportionate to me, because from the perspective of being a commissioner, our office gets so many calls for service on these basic services like potholes and sidewalks. So, and it's interesting for me because not in the last budget cycle, I advocated and asked for a new pothole truck and a new pothole crew. So we're at 10 now, but just a year ago we were at less than that. It was. So I look forward to working with you to potentially see where our priorities can shift a bit, right? A team of 4,200 within our budgetary confines, which I recognize are very great, there has to be the ability to shift things around in a way that we are prioritizing the basic kind of function of our roadway system and our sidewalks for our residents and for our visitors. So much more in-depth conversation. Look forward to future conversations with you. I am very interested in our transportation department for a number of very obvious reasons, but it is always the number one issue top of mind for our residents is how they can get to where they need to go faster and with the most pleasant experience that we can provide. So you have no small feat. We're here to work with you, even in these very difficult budgetary times. And thank you again for the presentation. It's very enlightening for us to see the data and the numbers as we go into our budget season. So thank you again, Director.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment and some questions. So during your presentation, you mentioned welcoming new team members. And although I appreciate your enthusiasm for what's really going on, I want to be clear for our residents and anyone who's watching that that means that you're merging, correct? You mentioned new team members, but that means that you're merging a department into yours. That doesn't mean that we're hiring new people into department. Yeah, because that sounds like we're hiring new folks, but I just want to be clear that that means that we're dealing with the budget constraints and we're merging folks into the department. The other thing, you had a sheet here on challenges, and you have there resurfacing, sidewalks, lighting, traffic signals. Literally my everyday phone calls to my office, and I just had a town hall last night, and the 90% of the residents were about these issues. So, you know, you have them here as unfunded needs, and I want to know, do you have a plan for this going forward? Because this is the majority of the calls that we receive, and the concerns from our residents are dealing with, you know, the lack of sidewalks, lighting, and so forth. So I wanted to ask that.
Thank you for that question. So we are trying to find efficiencies within the resources that we currently have to work with our existing network. Obviously, there are efficiencies that can be found with our traffic signal system update, which we are actively working through. But unfortunately, without additional resources, we are limited by how much sidewalk repair we can do, how much resurfacing we can do, how many potholes we can fill. That, again, that's not just the number of our staff, but the physical resources, the funding necessary to purchase concrete and asphalt and make those repairs. We are trying to find efficiencies. I have been here just a few months, and I'm still digging in on all of those different aspects of our program. But unfortunately, that's just to maintain the system that we have. That doesn't necessarily, this list of the $2 billion outstanding is actually further improvements as opposed to what we currently receive today.
Okay.
But yes, we are game planning for it, but additional resources are necessary to have a more robust resurfacing program. Right now, we receive $20 million for the entire county. That is insufficient to maintain the system that we operate and own. It's just not enough. So we are actually looking into, and you have approved us to move forward with acquiring a contract that will allow us to denote all of our assets and then use engineering justification to analyze and prioritize. And hopefully with your, with your input, we'll be prioritizing our highest needs to use those resources. Obviously, potholes are a big problem here in Miami-Dade County. With potholes, it only serves so much. Once we've gotten to a certain point, that particular roadway needs to be resurfaced and potentially rebuilt. So every time we delay maintenance, we're increasing the further cost of maintaining it in the future.
Actually, now that you say that, at one of my town halls, actually an employee mentioned to me, a county employee, that sometimes we fail to work cross departments and we resurface a road, and then we have a water improvement project. They break the same road that was just resurfaced. So that may be something to take into consideration going forward, to work across departments to make sure that we're doing things in the most efficient way, and maybe we wait to do the water project or the pipe project before we resurface the road. And I'll close with that. I don't think I have to repeat that all of my colleagues have the same concerns with these needs, and I know that DTPW has a lot of services, and you have a mammoth of work ahead of you. But to prioritize those things which are clearly of importance to my colleagues and to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just follow up on a couple points that the commissioner made. On the issue of the stormwater utility, the mayor had put out a memo a couple weeks ago that in the budget, because it needs to be done sort of as part of the budget, part of the proposal is to move the stormwater unit that is in Durham. It's about 35 individuals or so, fully funded already, Commissioner, correctly, and move that function over to Public Works, where you have the existing stormwater maintenance and do the capital work, and really have a combined utility that can hopefully take a more robust approach to dealing with flooding and issues. But that is fully funded. These are not new positions. Commissioner, you're correct. So we're not growing in any way. It's just moving them so that there's greater synergy in that function. With respect to the lower number of resources on the public works side, as you know, in cities, it's the cities who have the public works function to maintain city streets, city roads, et cetera. And most cities put a lot of funding into it because often they have a much higher millage rate than UMSA. And UMSA, as you know, we have a very low millage rate, and most of the funds are eaten up by public safety. So sadly, at the end of the day, what's left for parks and public works. And so particularly on the capital side, when you're looking at close to $2 billion of unfunded, resurfacing of roads, et cetera, bridges, it's going to take a major capital, a bond or something like that, to really catch up and redo all those roads, because now what we're doing is we're fixing a pothole on a road that probably needs to be milled and resurfaced, and that pothole will only last so long. So it is part of a long-term funding issue that I think hopefully we'll have conversations about in the months to come.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Mr. Morales. I think that, and thank you for the presentation, Madam Director. So I think the two comments on that. I'll go to Commissioner Milan Orbis's example that at her town hall. That is exactly what I mean by working in silos. But I'll give you an example of something that it's not anybody here's fault, but in my district, and I've been very familiar with this from the days I was mayor of Doral to now, between 97th and the Palmetto on 58th Street. One side is obviously unincorporated, one side is now Doral, and actually a portion of it. For years, that area has had an incredible amount of truck traffic, and there's a distinct difference once you get to 97th Avenue, where the city of Doral actually did the work for the county, even though it's a county road, because it was near the residential area, as to where between 97th, like I said, and the Palmetto. And I know that there was we went through an RFP process, et cetera, et cetera. The work started. Then we found out that there was a bunch of wires on the bottom, FPL, this and that. There were some water issues. And I think your point is well taken, Commissioner Milan Orbis, that I think we need to, and then unfortunately, obviously, we awarded the contract, they were going to start, and they decided they wouldn't do it for that amount of money. So we're back to square one. And a project that probably should have been done in 2018, and we're in 2025, is probably not going to be done until 2026. So I think it is important, in particular with Public Works, that we not work in silos. The other thing I'll leave you with this, Madam Director, and I don't want to, with that number so astronomical, and I agree with Jimmy that if it's very difficult to provide the level of service at a millage rate that is much lower if you don't have some sort of financing to fix that astronomical number that was mentioned. So on the day-to-day things, which is for better or for worse, yes, people do, believe it or not, you get a lot more calls on potholes and sidewalks than you probably get on many other things. That just happens. But the other thing I'd leave you with is this. I continue to insist that as we talk about transit, which is very important for us countywide, whatever district we're in, we also don't forget about traffic, which is also important countywide for all of us. I keep on continuing to show or talk about the example in my district in particular toward the west, but it also applies in Commissioner Emiliano Orbis's district and others because the roads also are impacted. And you have a really heavy lift because you've got transit and traffic, which are not necessarily one and the same, even though they're interconnected. So I hope as we go forward that we remember that the connectivity includes both. In particular in the western districts, for want of a better term, it's as important. I know it's not as sexy as talking about, rail and transit-oriented development and all that wonderful stuff that catches the headlines of the urban planners, but it's critical for the residents of Miami-Dade County to move in and out. And I hope you keep that in mind as we move forward. With that, I want to thank everybody. We're going to be, we'll see you next week, but if we don't, we'll see you back here in September. We hope you enjoy your summer break, if there is such a thing. Some of us won't have one, but hopefully some of you will. And we'll continue. And I want to thank the departments again. Carl, I want to thank you, Jimmy, and for helping us get everybody prepared. And we'll let you know soon what will be the next departments for September. All right? Thank you.
Rempli portion qui était jusqu'à ce que l'arrive dans niveau terre. Mettez tête tout doucement dans tout pied bois, pas fouler. Après ça, ajoutez plus de l'eau pour retirer l'autre poche là. Une fois